very Imbertish. You're very Imbertesque.
I recorded everything you say from now on.
We record everything anyway. We record when you see the man short, he arrogant, and you're glad he ain't no chairman no more. We record all of that too.
I hope people only hearing Paul Richards.
We're glad we record all of that. So I hope you know when we send any tape, we send any whole tape.
So do you agree with Senator Dial-Singh, that citizens should have easy access to guns? That's our poll this Friday morning.
All right, so Joy is saying yes. Sankofa is saying no to guns. Troy is saying yes. Mr. Carapo is saying yes. Mr. Smith is also saying yes. Paula is saying yes. Eddie is saying no. And Miss Maloney is saying yes. Ray saying no. Ron, yes. Moneymaker, yes. And that's it.
All right.
Today's a historic day on the Power Breakfast Show, people. I don't know if you all were just part of that history, and it's recorded on YouTube. Are we on YouTube live? Are we live on YouTube?
I don't know if we are.
I'm not sure.
Ruben, let us know. Send us a message. Oh, he's saying yes, we are.
We are live on YouTube.
Yeah,
so, folks, you would have been part of history. The most words ever spoken by Shane DeHare on Power Breakfast.
That's not true. He's spoken before. Stop.
He has spoken before, but he's never spoken that much at the same time.
Anyway, our poll this morning.
Because he's talking Dylan.
Our poll this morning. Do you agree with Senator Dial-Singh that citizens should have easier access to guns? We had 17 people voting in the allotted time. Of the 17 people, 14 of you said yes. You do think citizens should have easier access to illegal guns, and 3 of you said no. You don't agree. So 14 said yes, 3 said no. Of course, you can continue to vote on this poll throughout the day, through all programming, and we'll give you the final results on Monday morning. So you have the whole weekend to vote on this poll.
I'm showing off my Barcelona t-shirt.
Your Barcelona t-shirt, is it?
Yeah.
So, of course, we can take some of your calls at this point. At this point, you can also join us on the YouTube Live, which is what we do every Friday. You can join us on YouTube. The link would be, I'm not so sure where the link is, but it's usually somewhere. That you will see, you can join, I guess. I don't know where the link actually is. But if you're on YouTube now watching us, you should see the link. And it is in the YouTube chat. So if you go to the Power 102 Breakfast Show on YouTube, you look in the chat, you will see the link and you can just click on it and bam, you'll be in our virtual studio.
All right.
So the things we discussed this morning, besides Calm Ember, of course, we did have the issue with Vincent Nelson and the Prime Minister the Prime Minister distancing from himself, and then, of course, distancing himself from the issue. And, of course, the newspapers today basically saying, well, you weren't that distant. according to the remarks as quoted by former AG Faris Al-Rawi. So we'll see how it all plays out.
Yeah, we also, not forgetting, we also discussed the issue of the NACTA poll that showed if the PNM called an election now, they would still win because of the credibility issues that still swirl around the UNC. Because let's face it, the UNC, the players the UNC are offering to us are the players we are very well known. They are very well known to us and to Trinidad and Tobago. And when you see an opposition leader who fired an attorney general, removed a senator, commented their strident defense now, now that this case has collapsed because of technicalities or because of Vincent Nelson refusing to testify, you just shake your head. And then Anil Roberts and David Naked hovering on the sidelines. No. Not ever in Trinidad and Tobago.
We have a call on the line.
Yeah, sure.
Good morning.
Good morning, caller.
Take me off my soapbox, Zipper.
Yeah, good morning.
Morning.
I take the view that on a normal day, PNM has the advantage because their supporters are always willing to take more licks than the other party's supporters, the other major party, UNC.
Huh?
People that say, I ain't taking this damn nonsense, I'm out of here. They would have a perfectly normal meeting and then somebody get thinking vex and they're going to form a whole party. That's how vexed it is getting. So they would always be less stable than the PNM, and that is because they have more people who are not willing to toe the line. You might call that lack of discipline and so on, but I think the UNC community is doing well, and if it works...
What if I contend that, contest that by saying, on one hand, I understand what you're saying, and yes, they formed other parties, but on the other hand, we've seen where the NR was a break-off of primarily the PNM, and they formed that party in protest, and some may suggest that no matter what happens, UNC voters go out and vote for their party, and that's not the case with the PNM.
And they've consistently won the seats. They've won, regardless.
Wendell, I'm not hearing you clearly. I'm listening to you on my phone.
Yeah. That's all right. I'm just saying the UNC supporters have consistently voted the UNC in their heartlands. The PNM have lost heart.
Look at that. I've heard that before. It comes up all the time. The way I look at that is that the PNM is claiming heartland where they don't have it. Because you win the seats more than you lose it, doesn't mean that's your heartland. The UNC has heartland. The PNM has people who would more often than not vote for them, but they are not heartland.
But that's contradicting your earlier statement. If the UNC has more heartlands, it means UNC voters are more likely to keep them in those heartlands.
Well, a word or two here or there, we're not writing a legal document here.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
whatever.
The point I'm making.
I'll go ahead with your contribution. Go ahead.
This is the thing. If you pull apart everything as I go, we're getting nowhere. Now, some ideas, Paul, take more than 2 sentences. Okay? Now, what I'm saying is that the UNC clearly has an identifiable heartland because they vote UNC consistently. The PNM seem to want to claim the other part of it as their heartland. I don't see it like that. I see that the other part of it votes PNM more often than not, but they are not as committed, and therefore it's not UNC heartland versus PNM heartland, but it is UNC heartland versus these people who may or may not vote PNM, but more often than not they will.
Because they're intelligent.
Heartlands. And I don't see it as PNM people voting UNC. I see a kind of semi-independent along the east-west corridor and in other PNM largely PNM areas. Within the seats, there's enough people who swing back and forth and don't vote, and I ain't staining my finger for this. So there's a whole lingo that goes with it. And it is my view that PNM are falsely claiming to have a heartland across the east-west corridor when in fact these people exhibit more independence. You don't have a heartland because the other people have one, You don't have, and we do this in Trinidad all the time. Other people have heroes, so we have heroes. Other people fought for this, so we fought for that. It doesn't work like that at all. Yes, Paul?
Mr. Pinal, I don't think that's what you
Thank you for your usual objectivity.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. You kind of make sense, but I'm not so. You started off bad, but you fixed it.
You're not being sarcastic, right?
Of course you are.
All right, we have a next caller.
Didn't quite follow what you said.
Oh.
Hello?
Zina?
Yes, good morning.
Oh, Miss Sam.
Don't forget that Miss Prasad that have the property tax where it is today. She pull it, she push it, pull it, push it. Anyhow, what you all think about the guy that killed the 17 school children and got off, did not get a murder up?
Where is that?
If was a little black boy, he would have been in jail long time. They make all kind of excuses. The mother used to drink, this one used to smoke. When I tell you,
But he got
America,
life in
welcome to...
prison. Why you say he didn't get prison? He got life in prison.
No, no, he shouldn't get, he should have been hung. 17? No, it was a little black boy that done link he up already.
All right.
Well, I don't know that I agree with you with regard to, does race play a part sometimes in the American justice system? Absolutely. But I know some of the aggrieved members who suffered loss, some of their family members were killed, were angry at the result. In terms of he got life in prison, but the jury took the death penalty off the table. Because United States is, well, some of the states in the United States, besides the English-speaking Caribbean, is the only area in the Western Hemisphere that still retains the death penalty.
All right. I'm not aware of what you're speaking.
Yeah, in the Parkland shooting, which took place, I think, sometime in 2018. School.
Oh, at the school?
At a school shooting. It was a school shooting. 17 people, I think, died. So the jury took the death penalty off the table, but they gave him life in prison. But some family members were upset.
Who had on the GoPro and recorded everything?
Say what?
He had on a GoPro over his head and recording the killings?
I can't remember all of that. I can't remember the details, but this was a school shooting.
Yeah. Okay.
In 2018, I believe.
I think I remember.
All right, we have a call. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Wendell Stephen.
Morning, sir.
Wendell,
sir,
I would have liked to see that you put your hat in the ring for some position in the executive in the PNM. I know sometimes I just get the sense of it, Wendell. I mean, like you reach a point that you're kind of like, you labor so hard in the vineyard already that you get fed up now. You ever say this so many words, but it's kind of look past you so much, like, you know what I mean? But I hope that you still consider, like, I find you should have put your hat for the chairmanship of the PNM. I don't see anybody could do a better job in that position than you. And you was right to
I'll tell you something, I'll tell you something. You're right. I am fed up. I will not put myself up for an election again in this country. I will not offer myself again. I'll be very honest with you. If I'm appointed to positions, I will not refuse it because I still feel I have a lot to offer. But I will not subject myself to an election again in Trinidad and Tobago.
I hear that. Without you saying that, before you say that, I hate it. There's so many words you say so many times already because, I mean, you just reach up, and not only you reach a point that you labor so hard in the vineyard, and you overlook so many times with the leadership of the PNM.
Yeah.
And I think that what you're saying about the chairman, he will be the former to the chairman now, but after election he will be the former chairman. That was not right spot for him in the executive in the PNM. I think people like you should have been in a position like those because you one of the guys who have your foot on the ground and always making a labor so hard in the vineyard. And I hope that one day I could see you in a position that you really been deserved in government and in the PNM. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for that vote of confidence. I'm comforted, though, by the fact that there are several other people like me who are very dedicated and very hardworking. Some of them on the fringes, some of them are still offering themselves. I'm comforted by that fact. So I will give those people the support now that I didn't get. I will give them the support. Yeah.
Hello, good morning.
Morning.
Hello,
Morning, caller.
Hello. Morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. Wendell, welcome to the US.
Aye.
For your stay, however long it may be. But Wendell, you are starring this morning, and there's something you made a statement earlier on about the PNM better get their act together. Could you expunge on that a bit, please?
Well, I said it in the context of their arrogance, their attitude towards certain forms of governance, and all that they've been slipping up on. They need to get their act together, because the fact of the matter is that our PNM government has done always done what's best for Trinidad and Tobago. At the end of the day, they have not always gotten it correct, but they are still considered, in my opinion, and large, and in the population's opinion, the majority of the population's opinion, that they are still best in government, right? They are still the best in the government.
Your opinion.
That's of course, in my opinion. And I'm just saying that when you look at the options, you look at the UNC, and you see the people who will possibly form a government in the UNC again, no. You look at the PDP, Watson Duke, no. You look at Philip Alexander, PEA, no. You look at Fuad Abubakar, NNV, no. You look at David Abdullah, MSJ, no. Then you look at Gary Griffith, NTA, no. No, no, no. So that is why I said the PNM needs to get their act together.
So basically, Trinidad is covered on. There's no choice for Trinidad to be ever in life again. The only party that could ever run Trinidad is the PNM. That's what you're saying.
No. I didn't say that. I didn't say that because Richard raised the issue of the third parties on the outskirts. But when you look at who they are on the outskirts right now, I don't know that anybody could go and stay in the finger and put one of these guys to run this country, one of these guys or women to run this country. So that's why, guys, my opinion is that the PNM have to get their act together. And I'm saying the PNM is not perfect. They don't have all the answers. But still, when you watch the people in the PNM, the players in the PNM, the Stuart Young, the Marvin Gonzalez, the Nyan Gatsby Dolly, there are people in the PNM who are quite capable of, in my opinion, of running this country better than any one of those other political leaders out there.
Okay. That's your fervent opinion. And there are a lot who I know will beg to differ from that. But on another note, enjoy your stay in the US and travel safely to Trinidad and back to Ghana, please. Okay?
Yeah, sure. I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Have a nice weekend, all of you. Have a nice weekend.
Take care. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Hello, good morning. Hello?
Yes, good morning. It's also my opinion, and Mr. Edward, I am his number one fan. I just like him. I love his attitude.
Okay. And there are several other people on the fringes of the politics too, who I think should get involved. I admire people we've interviewed. This guy from the Supermarket Association, I like his style. I just think he is articulate. I also think he has the best interests of the people he represented. There's several other people who I would like to see involved in the politics. You understand? They are there on the fringes and they are doing good work. They're representing well. I don't know what they will be like as a politician, but I think that they represent their organizations in a decent way, and I would like to see them involved. What's his name? Is Rajiv Dipti? Yeah, I'm always impressed by it.
So, of course, you can join our link. I see Derek Cornwall joining, so we could say good morning to him. I know his mic is off.
Derek Cornwall is another young, bright mind who we've recently started to engage. I don't know what his if he has any political ambitions. I hope he does.
Well, he's
People
part
like
of the. Well, you could ask him. He's part of the YouTube link at this point.
Yeah, it's Derek. Where are you? If Derek don't get his internet issues sorted out, I don't know how good a politician he gonna be. Every morning we have problems getting Derek to talk.
Yeah, I good. That's my answer. Politics, I good.
Well, you could be better.
No, I good. I have been approached to, but I am not interested. I think politics in this country suffers because we don't have strong institutions to sort of counterbalance, politicians. So you have on the one hand, you have, the whole political gael, as they would say, but on the other hand, we don't have that. We don't have like, strong, I would want to say institutions, civil society, that could sort of serve as an anchor point, or maybe just serve to sort of prevent or to keep the conversation where it needs to be. I think that's the problem that we have in our country, because is any little thing come up, we just sort of go down that like rabbits, and something else comes up and we just go down that direction, and we seem to be just meandering all over the place and not really focusing on the issues. I personally believe it at the end of the day, it doesn't really, if you have that sort of a setup where you have stronger non-partisan voices in society, then at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter who's in power, because if it's the UNC, if it's the PNM, but you could hold these people to account. And they just have to do what we want them to do, I don't think that forming a new party every time anything comes up is necessarily the way to go.
And I agree with you, Derek. The UNC also have a couple of people who I admire. I don't know, and this guy he operates under the radar almost all the time. The MP for, is it Mayaro? Rushton Parry is one of the most decent human beings in the UNC. And he's clearly operating at that decent level. You never heard Rushton Parry involved in any kind of couture or bacchanal or anything like that. And apparently he's doing an excellent job in Mayaro. So PNM should name, once Rushton Parry around the UNC, the PNM could forget about Mayaro.
I would say this, right? Going back to the earlier conversation, that just because, well, first of all, this NACTA poll that came out and said the PNM would win an election if it's called tomorrow, you have to take all of those things with a dose of salt, because that's not the gospel truth. Yeah. In fact, I would very much, doubt anyone that can say with any degree of certainty that they could figure out what the how the population feels right now. I
think that poll though predated this latest debacle. Eh?
It doesn't have to do with that, it just has to do with the difficulty in the way polls, getting a proper poll done. And, when you look at the sample size of these people, it tends to be small, and there have been problems with polls in the past. But the thing I would say though is that, like, for instance, right, used to live in Chaguanas West, right? And Chaguanas West is a very unique, a very interesting constituency. What the earlier caller said about there being heartlands, Chaguanas West as Chaguanas, Felicity, Chaguanas proper and all those areas. Like it is in fact one of the most, they vote strongly for the UNC. So you have 24,000 people coming out to vote in a general election, and maybe 1,200 people for the PNM. And first past the post, what would happen is that for the first 1,200 UNC voters, their vote counts, right? And once you get to 1,201, say 1,200 people voted for the PNM, 1,201, 1,202, 1,203, 1,300, 1,400, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, your vote doesn't count, right? You went out to vote, but your vote doesn't count because your party won that seat. And I think that's one of the problems that we have, because a lot of people's votes aren't counted in this country. And I think when you said earlier that the PNM would have done, always taken the best interests of the country, I see the way we vote as being one of the great disservices that was kind of done to us, because proportional representation, I think, is what we need, given the multitude of voices that we have in society and all these things, that everyone's vote can count. Well,
the PNM as a party has indicated pretty steadfastly that they are not interested in proportional representation.
And you could understand why. right? Because they wouldn't do as well in that scenario. Or it would mean that, if you have that kind of a situation, you'd need to change the way you do politics, because, it's not a question of just trying to win 41 races and you're good. You'd have to try and convince, the majority of people. And I think this thing with arrogance, which is a very, I think it's very fair, and I think it's very, very pointed observation that the PNM, particularly now, I would say they're arrogant, and they come out and they, and I don't know if that arrogance is due to the fact that you have such a weak opposition, and it easy, anything that comes off, it's easy to say, well, look at them, look at me.
That's part of it. That's part of it.
I think arrogance becomes more prominent, especially when you have a second consecutive term.
Yep. Because then you feel invincible.
You're spot on, Richard. You are spot on, Richard. That's when it really surfaces.
Yeah, but it's interesting that you'd say that, because to me, a second term would mean you could actually, you could have all the excuses during your first term. We now come in, we had to clean up the mess, we didn't have no money. After 7 to 10 years in office, no excuse for not having something to show for it,
Yeah. Which is what gets you arrogant, especially when people approach you. You understand? Because if that's your fallback to what's happening now, then you're being arrogant.
While I agree with you, Derek, that I think proportional representation is where the country needs to go, I can't see it you need a constitutional majority to achieve that. And the PNM, which is the most embedded party we have in the country, is steadfastly against it. So it means it has to be, and they have made no bones about that. I mean, successive leaders have said it. So to change the constitution, you probably need a result of like 14-1 and a party that is magnanimous then, because when you win in the first past the post system, you also kind of get an arrogance that you don't want to change the system because you've just won.
Yes.
And so you really need a party that has the vision and the fortitude and integrity to hold to whatever, if that is part of their mantra, that we want proportional representation and we are going to achieve it, to then achieve it for the legacy of generations to come, in terms of moving the country forward, in terms of better representational politics.
Yeah, I would just say two things. One, I think we've had governments with supermajorities in parliament, the PNM under Manning in their final term, and the People's Partnership. And I mean, so it is possible that a party can win an election and do it. We've seen that in the recent past, that, you've had these supermajorities. But I think the challenge is that, and the second point is that there's only so much that you can do. There's only 24 hours in a day, for instance. There's only so many people they have. And it really becomes a question of like prioritizing what it is you need to do as a government. And there may be other more pressing issues that they may want to address or they may need to address. And which is why I say that, we need to have somebody on the outside of this political, parliament, for instance, politics, that could hold the country, that could hold the conversation on course. And that, this is what we need to do. So, we keep it there and, we have the conversation.
But that goes to the genetic makeup of the party and the integrity of the people who aspire to leadership in this country. Because you could say whatever in your manifesto, but when you're elected, and if you're elected by a supermajority that gives you the requisite constitutional majorities to be able to change the constitution, then to me, I understand that you have priorities in leadership, but that's a huge one, because you have the ability to transform the same institutions that you talk about in terms of making them more independent, because a lot of the institutions, why they are solid, in my opinion, is that there is always a political link in terms of the approval process. Generally, there is some political link that feeds back into the loop. So they're not truly independent in how they, in terms of their the setting up of the institution.
And that's because no matter who is in power, they've talked about political campaign finance and they haven't championed it. Tammy, good morning, welcome.
Yeah, they haven't. Because those parties, and I mean the one that was first was the NAR with the 33-3, they didn't do it. even if they felt the Constitution, and all parties kind of generally espouse that the Constitution needs updating. Of course, it needs updating. Since 1976.
I would be very
seriously. Of course, it needs updating.
Let's just put a pause there. Let's just bring Tammy in. Tammy, good morning.
Good morning. Morning, Paul. Morning, Richard. Morning, Wendell. Morning, Shane.
And Derek.
Morning,
Derek.
morning, Tammy. How are you?
I'm great.
All right. Is that
and your thoughts?
Is that red you're wearing there, Tam?
It is red. It's red. It is red.
Derek, you were saying.
I two things. I would be controversial. I've always believed that one of the ways we can improve the process is to get better people, and you can get better people by paying them better money. I think that the parliamentarians need to be paid a proper salary. And this thing with you give them like a car allowance, and they go and they buy a fancy car and then they try and sell it, and it's so unfortunate. When you look at other countries with our level of GDP, with the amount of work and the amount of skill that you need in parliament, I mean, we are way behind the ball in terms of being able to attract the talent that's needed. So when you don't pay parliamentarians, people on the bench, people on opposition senators, opposition and government, you don't have a proper remuneration package. You can't attract the right people.
But that may be so in part, Derek, but not necessarily. So part of the issue also is the process by which political parties recruit and ascend people through the ranks to become parliamentarians, because very often it has nothing to do with the money. You start off in the party, you work your way up, and you go through a screening committee and you get through. It's very little times it has anything to do with the money or the salary you're looking at.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing.
That is not how it works. You thinking because you're a private sector person.
Yeah.
I don't work in politics in Trinidad.
I don't think better money attracts better
politics. No, it won't. It won't.
Yeah.
I think one of the things
better money might attract worse politicians.
Well, what do you do, for instance, in Singapore, right? Yeah, okay.
So may I just plug in? I grasp what we're talking about, and I think we have an issue with accountability. Remuneration may be an issue for those who feel that it should be equated with the passion they invest in the job as a parliamentarian. But what about accountability? I think until we fix the processes that have persons account for their action and account for the public purse, we will find ourselves, in a sort of tug of war between passion for the job, but getting lost along the way, making wrong decisions, making unethical decisions at the cost of the state, and then there is nothing to show for it in terms of sanctions. I'm not seeing any inroads with respect to imposing sanctions on malfeasance. I don't see anything like that happening so far.
Well, we see how that went lately. So that I did say that people have lost confidence in how politicians should treating with those issues of corruption. Because it just seems like everybody and I'm not saying this is what happened in this case, protecting one another. I don't think Anand Ramlogan and I don't think the players in this latest debacle are being protected, but certainly the process by which they should have been brought to justice for their alleged crimes clearly messed up. Richard, did I say that good? Did I do that legally correct?
I didn't see anything wrong with what you said.
Yeah. I'm a lawyer on the ball this morning.
Yeah.
Well, my second lawyer of choice.
Mm-hmm.
But do you see the importance of fixing that system of accountability, that wherever there is misconduct, wherever a person's decision amounts to costing the state, don't you see it important to fix that system by which persons account, and such accountability should include having a person demit office? I think that is one of the reasons we perpetuate that sort of indifference towards wrongdoing, and persons always find themselves defending it to the hilt because there is no sense of
more
But
people.
it's not even about wrongdoing. You know, I think even holding people accountable for competence in positions, it even
or
goes to that.
non-performance, as you say, non-performance.
And we still allow, and we don't, even if there is an uproar, even if there is commentary from social circles in society, those people still remain. They still remain because, for example, you have breaking news that Kwesi Kwarteng, who is the Chancellor of the Exchequer in England, has just been removed. Why? Because of the backlash of the budget and what happened with the UK and the tax cuts that they were going to give. And now he's out.
Well, there was talk that he shouldn't have been there in the first place.
Yeah, but it shows the responsiveness of the political process to commentary.
Yeah. But more people...
At least in England. It happens too, but it takes a while.
Yeah. More people were removed in the last government, 2010 to 2015, than any other government before. More people were removed from office for all manner of things. It hasn't helped the politics.
All right, let's stick a pin in it. We have a short break to take, and then we have news.
We at 8 o'clock already? Whoa.
Ready for massive Diwali deals at Furniture Plus? Save up to $2,300 on mattresses, Certus